What a great song. That is what we're going to talk about tonight. I like to start off with a clip, and this is from one of my favorite movie series, The Lord of the Rings.
Yes!
Good. That's a good response. The battle wasn't like Lord of the Rings. Boo! You know. How many of you have seen Lord of the Rings? No? It's okay if you haven't. This isn't going to ruin it. This is only going to want you to see more. But this is a scene in the movie. It's a little graphic, so if you're not very good with things that may be a little graphic, maybe cover your eyes for one part of it. It's not that bad. But I just want to be like, oh no, I'm never going back. It should be cool. Go. Well, good. Here we go. Transition from worship, right? So, just a little backstory for Lord of the Rings if you haven't seen it. There's this ring, it's the Ring of Power, and that's the ring that everyone else has been tricked, and this guy Sauron, this ring has all the power. And so Sauron gets killed right at the beginning, but then he's coming back, and so all these evil forces are coming. And anyways, this ring, this guy's had it this whole time. His name is Bilbo Baggins. He's a hobbit, which is kind of like a smaller human in a way. I don't know. What's that? They have really hairy feet, that's right. And then his grandchild is Frodo, maybe?
Nephew,
thanks. I haven't read the books. His nephew is Frodo, and so Frodo happens upon this ring, and there's this wizard Gandalf who tells him he has to take it all the way to this place, throw it in like a volcano in order for it to be done, like this evil to kind of stop. And so anyways, the ring has been with this guy, Gollum, that's his name, you saw him. It was with him for so long, and you kind of saw him at the beginning when he first gets it. It's like this regular guy. He's just hanging out. His name's Smeagol. Then they find the ring. He actually kills his friend, takes the ring, and then you just see how it consumes him, this ring. He thinks it's his precious. It's like this great thing. But this is what consumes him. And you kind of see how that gets crazy. So, sorry for the graphicness of him eating the fish. It was shocking, wasn't it? All right, well, what we're going to look at today is Exodus 32, 1 to 6. If you have your Bible, feel free to open it, or you can look up there. And so, our theme over these next large groups, next Oasis meeting, is worship. So just a little bit about worship. What is worship? So definition of it, being very literal, is worship is ardent devotion or adoration. It's also another definition. Another definition is the reverent love and devotion accorded a deity, an idol, or a sacred object. So this is something that people worship, right? Now, the origin of it comes from worthship, so giving worth to something. Good. So we are all creatures of worship. It's just part of our being. It's who God created us. We are creatures of worship. And so the question is not, do we worship? The question is, what do we worship? So it's not, do we do this? It's what is it that we're doing? Because it's in us. We're worshiping something. It could be the Lord. It could be other things. Right? So one thing about worship, worship is something that you bend yourself around. Worship is something that you shape your life around. What you base everything on is foundational. All these different things. So let's look at this passage in Exodus. We get to see some people that miss it on worship. So earlier, and this is in the Old Testament, in the book of Exodus, right before this, the Israelites, they were in slavery, they're in bondage, and the Lord delivered them from that. He sent plagues on this, and they finally got out of it, and they were, the Lord parted the Red Sea, and then they crossed the Red Sea. Like, literally parted the Red Sea, and they walked across. So these people were walking and they're seeing water. You may have seen it in different movies like Prince of Egypt or some other movies, but this is an epic thing. This isn't just like a small pool and they're walking across it. They're crossing this massive sea. They're also in the desert for so long, and they're being fed manna and quail that is given from the Lord. So God is present in these moments, right? But then here's what happens. Moses is away for a little bit, and here's how I'm going to read it to you. When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, they gathered around Aaron and said, "Come, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." Aaron answered them, "Take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, and your daughters are wearing, and bring them to me." So all the people took off their earrings and brought them to Aaron. He took what they had handed him and made it into an idol, cast in the shape of a calf, fashioning it with a tool. Then they said, "These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." When Aaron saw this, he built an altar in front of the calf and announced, "Tomorrow there will be a festival to the Lord." So the next day the people rose early and sacrificed burnt offerings and presented fellowship offerings. After they sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in revelry. Wow. We totally missed it. Moses is gone for a little bit, and then they just decide to make their own God and to worship him. Worship this calf, this golden calf. When we're talking about the Lord who parted the Red Sea, the Lord who delivered them from slavery, from all these years of slavery. I mean, this isn't far off from that. This isn't like many, many, many years down the road. This is pretty recent, right? So you read this, and I feel like part of me goes, I'm just so sad for them. It's like, come on, why did they miss this? So I'd like to show another clip. This one is not as graphic, I promise.